big day for the Fightin' Phils as they are going to be back and getting into action later on tonight, and you can hear that right here with Scott Fransky on the call on WIP. Here's the question for you, Al. Do you believe in the Phillies the rest of the way? I'll let you answer, and then I'll give you my sort of thoughts on it all.
I believe they have a chance, but I believe they need to have a better chance. I would be surprised if they won with the roster that they have. If Dombrowski doesn't rediscover his identity and do what he used to do and go out and get something. But I do believe because of that starting pitching, they do have, no matter what, because of that pitching, they have a chance, but it's not as good a chance as they should.
Okay, yeah, listen, I co-sign that. I feel very similar to it. Sure, I guess there is a possibility that they can do something because their starting pitching is so rare and elite. But at the end of the day, I look at the bullpen woes. They don't have anyone except for Kerkering. And even Kerkering's not the most reliable arm, so you almost have to reshape an entire pen. Now, maybe you can do that internally with some starters.
Yeah, they're going to get some starters.
Of course, right. Getting kicked to the pen, and then what Dave does at the deadline, and the right-handed bat situation is still a little wonky. So I need more, and I guess they can win me over after the deadline if Dave Dombrowski takes a big swing. But if it's just the standard status quo, Estevez, Austin Hayes, those style of guys, then I'm going to be so disappointed and even more out than I probably already am.
Yeah, I'm going to be really disappointed if they don't get a bat, more than a bullpen for me. Because as you said, one of the starters, at least one of the starters, is going to the bullpen. So I think you could actually get by, but you got to have a bat. You can't have a bottom of the lineup in the playoffs. I mean, just think in your head, go back to playoffs baseball and think how many times the bottom of the lineup set up to turnover to come in and let those big bats come back up. You can't have that. You cannot have like a cell phone dead spot in your lineup like they do with the way things are going with their outfield. It just doesn't work. I understand pitching is truly important, but my God, more and more hitting in the playoffs, clutch hits, big 3-run home runs. That's what you need, and I don't think this team has enough.
No, I don't think they do either. And even when we talk about their top guns, you're so right to talk about the bottom of the order because we're going to see Marsh or Rojas or Kepler or Kemp or any of these guys.
Well, think about those names. How do you feel when them? How would you feel? There was a game 2 weeks ago where they basically were set up for failure, and you knew a grand slam was coming on the other side of it. But you can't have that where it's like there's no hope. There's no hope.
No hope. I know. And I'm saying you're so right to point that out. I also don't have a lot of hope in Bryce right now because I don't know where his wrist is. So we're also dealing with that. We're dealing with Nick, who's probably going to fall into the I'm swinging at pitches 50 feet off the plate outside off speed, and he's going to look like a fool, and we're going to get that whole thing again. So I'm very worried about them moving forward. If I had to answer the question, do I believe in the Phillies the rest of the way? Unfortunately, and it makes me sick to my stomach to say this, I'm going to have to say no. And I want them to prove me wrong. I want them to flip me off and say, I told you I could do it. But, it sucks that I feel this way. But I can't buy into this mess because I know what a championship caliber team looks like, Al. I've seen it with the Birds. I know what the mental makeup's like. I know how they handle adversity and pressure. And I don't know if this group can do it the way championship caliber teams do it.
They're missing a magic that, and it sounds dumb, but they don't do the Gatorade thing anymore. And I know that whole kiddie school, whatever they called that thing, was getting a little
daycare.
Daycare,
but they're 30 years old.
Yeah, I know it got a little, but it did bring an energy. When you cover teams, you start to realize that it sounds dumb. The corny stuff actually works. It actually works. If you cover a team day to day and you get that stupid thing, whether it's putting your hat on backwards, whatever it is, whether it's some stupid saying, there's an energy that it brings. For whatever reason, this team has hit a flat spot with that energy, and I can understand some of it. Some of it is your best player is hurt, and it may be chronic. Your catcher's older and doesn't give you the pop that you had. The second baseman isn't coming around like you thought that he would. Yeah, the pitching's been terrific, but there's an element missing. The Eagles seemed to rediscover that element early last year, and And remember, I just said corny things. The coach shaves his head or whatever, like And on my point, at that point, I'm thinking, now it's easy to get it out of his rear end the way things are going. So, but it turned into something positive, and some of the stupid sayings that he had. But that kind of thing, it's easy to make fun of when you're on this side, looking at it and being critical and everything. But if you're really close to what's actually happening in a locker room, whatever, man, they could use some of that right now.
I believe their clubhouse is definitely a little blah. It's dead. There's no pulse. It needs some more juice. It needs energy. And I think they were hoping that, and I know this is very sad and it's desperate, but when you bring up an Otto Kemp and here's a kid and a story, can that create it and all? But if you're relying on Otto Kemp's story to provide a spark, then you're not good enough, And I think they do try and look at that and see if there's anything with it, and that's going to fizzle out. He is what he is. He's doing everything in his power, and I respect it. But that you're right, though. You do need to form some life, some attitude, some flair, some fire, and they are so desperate that the only thing I could possibly come up with is Otto Kemp. Otto Kemp. I mean, it's unbelievable.
But you thought you might have had it when Harper had the big hit. Like, he's still at that point. He can do that. He can be the fireworks if he comes back and has the monster game followed up by another monster game, a winning home run in the ninth inning. That's the thing that can really get things going again. And he's still at that stage of his career. I'm worried about it because I'd rather have surgery situations than certain injuries than chronic.
Sure.
That's like, oh my, what are you going to deal with? It's like the soft tissue injury thing, like, take a day off here. That's really difficult. And this team needs him so much because when you look at the playoffs in baseball, like Castellanos, he can get hot. But right now, these are long playoffs if you go the whole way. So when you say they can get hot, there's a little more than that in baseball anymore, especially if you go through that first round. You got to stay hot for a long time, which is why you got to have some more another consistent bat in that lineup.
Bryce is why you had Bedlam at the bank, and when you had these clutch moments in San Diego and getting to the World Series. So if you don't have that element, and even if you clean up and shore up some of the other spots that we desperately need to do, then it's a huge question mark as we roll into October. 215-592-9494. That is the phone number to hop on board. We would love to hear from you on this On the Record Friday. Do you believe in the Phillies as they are 55-41, leading the National League East? So they are in first place in their division. Their starting pitching is best that we've seen, and Dave does have an opportunity to clean up some of these issues with the deadline on the horizon. So do you believe in the Phillies the rest of the way? Al, we have a Twitter poll, which is brought to you by Mark's Jewelers. For extraordinary diamonds and customer service, visit Mark's in Montgomeryville and Mount Laurel. Experience the difference at marks-jewelers.com. Early responses on the Twitter poll is, do you believe in the Phillies the rest of the way? 66% of the voters say yes. 34% say no. I think you left the door open enough where you would vote yes on the poll.
I would vote yes, just because of the pitching. I wish I believed more. You have a chance. I mean, it's not like you're going to go in as the favorites, and you're going to go in with like great expectations at all.
Think about this staff, though, that you keep pointing out, and some of the big guys, Kyle and Bryce and all that. The fact that we have this on our paper, right, on roster paper, and we see it, and we're not feeling better about the group is just unfathomable. It's crazy to me that I'm this down and justifiably a little down on this group considering everything surrounding them. Isn't it nuts that we're here?
Oh, it is.
It's unbelievable. Come on, Dave.
First play, and Dombrowski's at that point now where, you know how players at the end of their career, they say, don't ruin your legacy or whatever, but hanging out. But he's almost at that point with me, and mind you, I loved him, what he did with the Red Sox.
Of course.
But I think his marching orders here were, please don't destroy build up our farm system. Well, they've built it up, and now you may have to do something with it. At some point, if you're in his position, there's a cover your own behind type of thing going on here, where he has to be who we thought he was, because he's going to become almost a joke of by people saying, when they come to the trade deadline, the national writers always still look at him for what he did. Mm-hmm. But if you're right here in Philadelphia, it's like, what are you looking at? We have a track record here. He ain't that guy. There's been an identity theft. Somebody go find that man to go in, and whether to go to the owner and say, we have to do this. If you're the Phillies, now the Phillies, you look at the number of eyeballs on the Phillies. This market's tremendous. Their ratings are unbelievable right now just to watch, and it's huge numbers watching in. You can afford, with the minor leagues that you have now, you can afford a mistake. I'm not saying you can afford 3 mistakes, but because of the situation where it's not a hard cap, you can buy your way out of a mistake.
Agreed.
You can literally buy your way out of a mistake. So if it's Crawford, and I wish he'd come up, or whomever, you got to do it, because you have to take this shot this year.
Yes, I know, because you are stuck with the Kyle Schwarber contract being up in the air, and JT's probably going to be out of here afterwards, and Ranger Suarez's contract is iffy, and you don't know where that's going to lead you. So it does seem like one of those situations where it's all go mode currently, and you got to maximize this group. And then you got to put your head down at night and say, hey, I gave it my best shot. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, again, I can close my eyes and rest my head on my pillow knowing that I went out there and gave it the biggest hack in the world that I possibly could. There is a part of that I do buy into.
You're not going to wreck your organization. Look, all you can really ask for is, I want to, when the season starts, I want to be a fan base that thinks I have a chance to go to the playoffs and maybe go the whole way. No matter what they do, if they move a prospect, they should still be in position that where they're going to be that team. It's not like one team makes it anymore. Just get in the playoffs.
Oh, I hope they can do something to win me over here. All right, let's get to some audio, and then we're going to rock your calls at 215-592-9494 on this On the Record Friday. Let's take a listen first to Ken Rosenthal on the Foul Territory pod, where he discussed the upcoming approach by Dave Dombrowski at the deadline.
I expect they're going to be active for multiple relievers, and they need a big one. There's no question about that. Alvarado's coming back in August, but he's not going to be eligible for the postseason after getting a PED suspension. They are a team that would be in the mix for all of those controllable relievers in the AL Central we were talking about. Clase and Jax and Duran. David Bednar would be another possibility for them. Any reliever out there is someone that they're going to look at. There's also been talk with them of an outfielder, and it could be someone from their own system. Justin Crawford is someone getting a lot of mention, Carl Crawford's son. But ideally, it would be someone a little bit more proven, maybe a center fielder that would enable them to move Marsh to left at certain times. I see them being quite active. Dave Dombrowski knows that this team's window does not go on forever. Schwarber and Realmuto, free agents after this year. They probably will try to re-sign both. Then they've got a lot of money coming off the books after 26. So they are an interesting team in an interesting place, and I do expect them to be aggressive and active.
All right, so Al, you heard him. He pretty much laid out almost something very similar to what you mentioned, which is, you got to go out there now and take a look at some of these options in the bullpen and take a look at Justin Crawford and start selling off pieces to be aggressive, because looking at the current mold after this season, there's a lot of question marks. So go now and live with the results.
Yeah, and be aggressive, and that's what That's what we were sold.
I know
that we got a guy that was going to be like, and they put some guardrails on him. Like, we have to fatten up our prospects,
which was probably fair in the beginning, no doubt about it.
No doubt, but they have, and now you kind of owe it to this pitching staff too, to provide something here.
What do you think Zach Wheeler's thinking about?
Well, yeah, really, it's like, okay, you got to provide something here, and you have to. You're not going to ruin your. You're not necessarily going. I'm not going to say necessarily. You're not going to ruin your future. There's too much here. I know you're going to say, well, the catcher, this, that, the other thing. You got some pretty solid citizens that you can kind of count on. And let's say you hit on 2 of your prospects, 2 of them anyway. I think you should be in good shape. And frankly,
they don't hit anyway because Bryson Stott and Bohm were supposed to be that.
But frankly, you're the Phillies. There's a free agent market every year, and you can go you can go get people. And as long as it's an attractive place to come, you should be able to attract people to come. And the more success you have, the more attractive it is to come here. So I'm all for rolling the dice with. I mean, people say Painter. I'm like, hey, if it's going to get me absolutely what I need, I can live with that.
Me too. I can totally be in on Andrew Painter at this point. And yes, I'm getting swayed by the not so great starts in AAA, even though he's young. I would absolutely do. Listen, Bryson Stott and Alec Bohm were supposed to be these can't move prospects, and we don't like Stott offensively. And Alec Bohm we wanted moved last year.
I would not move him.
Bohm?
To me,
please,
please. To me, well, I disagree with you on this.
Oh,
when you have a lineup like this,
okay,
and you have a guy, and I know that the story on him, and it says he's kind of a whiner or whatever. I find him pretty mentally sturdy.
Oh,
because what he's been through in Philadelphia, a lot of guys wouldn't have been able to bounce. I think he's, I don't want to use the word deaf enough to it, that it's a plus for him.
Huh.
Like, you look at the stuff, the trade rumors, this and that. You know what baseball players are like. Basically, you got 9 independent contractors out there, okay? This is baseball. So he goes in, he's got criticized for one thing, criticized for another thing, swinging at first pitches, this, that, and the other thing. And he trots out there like he's on a skateboard, goes in, plays his game. Not over swinging again. And they need a guy that isn't the home run hitter. And just make sure that you have some steadiness in your lineup. I know I'm in a real small minority on the Bohm thing, but I find his aloofness a real plus staying in Philadelphia, because he really has had a lot of criticism, a lot, and it's like,
It's an interesting take. If he was to perform like he did last year before the wrist injury, and he was just chugging along and performing at that clip, which was a lot of doubles and not a lot of home runs, but just being such a productive bat, cleaning up and protecting Bryson his own way, I would co-sign that. I think now I'm just in a weird spot. I'm probably just broken in general, where all these decisions are just making me skewed a little bit. But all right, let's go to the phones. 215-592-9494. We'll kick things off with Jim in Belmar. Jim, you're on WIP.
Hey, good afternoon. First time with you there, Brodes. Happy afternoon. Happy Friday.
Yes, same to you, Jim. Appreciate you checking in.
Yeah, and Al, I haven't heard your voice in decades. Nice to hear you, too.
Oh, yeah, I come on Sundays. I'm with the legendary Cap Gun Kelly. So
yes,
tune in on Sunday mornings. It's fun.
Not a problem. Okay, so first point of information, in case your listeners have never seen it, about the Mike Shielski retort to how Jalen Hurts is the ninth best quarterback in the league, and what do you call it? He is the absolute worst. You owe it to yourself to check out the Philadelphia Inquirer for why Jalen Hurts is the worst quarterback. You will spill your guts in laughter. It's so good. That's the
I'll
first
check
thing.
it out. I mean, I'm a Jalen Hurts man. I love Sealski, by the way, so I love Sealski, but I'm a Hurts
God.
man.
He should
What?
be a professional comedian after you read this article.
Okay,
Swear to
I'll check
God.
it out. I'll check it out, Jim.
Oh my God. Secondly, here's where I am with the Phillies. The Phillies can't win as they are right now. There's no way. There's too many holes in the lineup. I hate it because the pitching is so good. So, and I hope that somebody from the Phillies organization is listening to this.
Oh, they're listening.
I'm not expecting them to, because the idea I'm about to share with you is really backwards. It's really outside the box, but it might work. So here's the thinking. Pardon me. The thinking is that all of our starting pitchers can go at least 6 innings, and then only getting like 2 or 3 runs scored against them. Okay.
Okay.
What you do is you put your bullpen. You put your bullpen in the first 3 innings.
I knew you were going to say that.
Okay. Now.
But think about how crazy of a. Now I get it. We're so desperate that you're throwing things at the wall here. But if we have to do this, then Dave Dombrowski needs to be fired.
But this doesn't make any sense. I mean, we're supposed to be polite to the callers, but this is nuts. What?
I know that it's nuts. I do know that it's nuts. I understand that.
Al,
But
this is the first call.
Here's the logic. Here's the logic. If you get, say, Matt Strom in there for 3 innings, all right,
gosh.
you don't have to worry about him in the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Well, what if Ranger can't go 6 though? What if he can only go 4 2/3?
Why don't we get divorced before we get married?
Here's the point. No, I feel you, Al. I feel you. I get that. But here's my point. You don't want to let any lead that we get away. And that's
Jim,
the way that
Jim,
the
I
storyline
love
has
you.
been.
I'm so glad that this is the first time we get to communicate. Appreciate the call. Al, it's 2:30 on a Friday.
Wow.
On the record Friday. The first on the record was we need to start pitching our bullpens in inning 1, 2, 3 so our starters can go 6 and close it down.
Yeah.
Holy hell. Holy hell. Where do
But
we
he
go
sounds
from here?
like a nice guy.
He did. Jim sounds like a great guy.
Great guy. I
Wow.
think thinking outside the box.
Well, again, if you have to do this, Dave Dombrowski needs to be fired.
Fact of the matter is, you're dealing with the end of a game, different pressures. That's why even when you say go out and get a reliever, how do you know? I mean, anybody that watched playoff baseball knows it is crazy pressure in the 9th and 8th inning. If you go get a pitcher that's got good numbers that hasn't built up some kind of scar tissue, I don't know that I want to risk it. I don't know.
It's a fair point. All right, 215-592-9494. We are live from Chickie's and Pete's in South Philly. Big parties and events are always better at Chickie's and Pete's. Book your next event or party online at chickiesandpete's.com. It is Brodes. It is Al Morganti in for the afternoon show. Coming up next, I will tell you something about Rob Thompson and a decision I'm fascinated with seeing in this second half. That's coming up next on top of your phone calls. It's the WIP Afternoon Show. Let's get back to the phones. Let's go to Ellsworth in Allentown. What's up, Ellsworth?
I just want to talk a little Phillies and a couple things. I've always been a big Rob Thompson guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he platoons way too much. And, Stott was a runner-up at Gold Glove second baseman last year, and he's in contention this year. He's being platooned. And when he bats against left-handers, he hits them. And
Stott's been struggling at the dish.
Yeah, but that's because he's being platooned.
I don't think it is. I think it's just because they're platooning because he's struggling at the plate more than he's struggling at the plate because he's platooning.
He's platooning everywhere. I mean, Otto Kemp, everybody's crazy about Otto Kemp. He's down to, 250, 260?
So I think you should be mad at Dombrowski because I feel like Rob's only managing the best way he can based off of his personnel.
Yeah, but even the Phillies organization, you bring up Painter. Strider had his UCL surgery, the same injury that Painter had. After Painter, he's pitching complete games. They got Painter on a 75-pitch limit.
Yeah, they've been babying him.
How's he ever going to develop if they baby him continually? He has one bad inning, and then he starts pressing because he knows he's going to be out of the game.
Well, I think it's just because, and thank you, Ellsworth, I appreciate the call. I don't think he's pressing because they know he's going to get out of the game. I just think he's not performing well. You know what I mean? I think that's what it comes down to. But the Stott thing, platooning in general, I've heard this criticism of Rob Thompson for a while now, and again, I think it's more of he's just playing the hand that he was dealt, and the reason why you have to sit Kepler and Otto Kemp's playing, and you got to sit Mars and Rojas and this and that is this was the roster that we were handed. Like to best maximize this roster, unfortunately, you have to plug and play a billion different pieces based off of the pitcher, I think at least, but maybe I'm misguided.
That's the argument I've had with people that are not that thrilled with the manager, who can come across as maple syrup at times.
I like Rob,
I
like
him,
but
you
can criticize him.
But I actually think he's done a remarkable job, not just this year, but in past, because this is a very flawed lineup. Mm-hmm. Even when healthy, they have a bunch of DHs that he has to play here and there all the time. And and you also have what was supposed to be a defensive specialist, Rojas, who, can make a highlight catch, but then sometimes afterwards, I don't know what the hell is going through his mind. It's like he has so many moving parts for a good team, and not the good moving parts that some teams use. This is like out of necessity, as you said. He has to do a lot of juggling for a, quote, good baseball team. A lot of times people say baseball managers don't have to do that much, could just write in the regular line. But he can't do that. And you don't think he wants to do it? If Stott would just force his hand? He doesn't have anybody that's forced his hand to say, here, that's yours. There's nobody that's done it.
Correct. You're right. He wants it to be someone taking it over and saying, this is my job and I will not lose it. But no one's really been able to do that in any of these respected positions. The only time I have a knock and criticism on Topper for the most part is when Bryce Harper goes down 0-2 on 2 clear balls and then Kerkering strikes somebody out 6 times in one at-bat and the umpire behind the plate's falling asleep. Like, yo, Rob, I need you to give me a little bit of juice. I don't need you to kick dirt and spit in someone's face, but I would like for you to give me a little bit of an adrenaline rush. But other than that, I think Rob Thompson's a good manager. It's just here and there throughout the long season. I'm looking for that jolt. And to your point, he's maple syrup?
Yeah, he's he's Canadian. He bumps into the tree, he apologizes.
Yeah, I know that about it. I know that part at times bothers me, but my other side of me goes, at 162, when you're playing this long journey, does that benefit you to play that hand of calmness and
but he's had his
patience?
Moments with the Castellanos, and
he did. I thought he handled that well in the moment too. I did. I thought he did.
He can do that. But I mean, I think for the most part, he's a pretty good manager for this team. I think he's done a really, really good job with this team.
Agreed. In his tenure, I say 2 thumbs up to Topper, more so than anything else. Now, I can point out a couple of things. That's why whenever someone gets mad at Topper and they say, well, what about when he went to this guy? And it's like, okay, there's 8 to 9 decisions every night over 4 to 5 months. You're going to find 4 or 5 that backfire, but just because it, quote, backfires, does that mean it was flawed logic?
Yeah, but he's had moments when he let the bottom of the lineup, Rojas and whoever.
Yeah, you can't go down swinging with Rojas.
There were 3 of them in a row
that
you just said, what are you doing?
But what's the alternative?
There's got to be
anybody.
Anybody? No, really, because it was a white flag.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Yeah, I agree with you. There are some times where it pisses me off. Let's go to Michael in New Jersey. Yo, Michael.
Hey, how you all doing?
Good.
You've been saying great points so far. I just want to put in 2 things. First of all, I really agree. You guys were talking earlier. This team is missing some sort of magic. They need a piece. They need a spark. Some sort of bat has to happen within the next 2 weeks or so. They got to get somebody. I agree with you on that one. My second point is, 2 callers ago, that guy made a crazy remark about starting the bullpen at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
Right? Which is it was kind of what I called for. I wasn't going to say that they should do that. That was a little past me. But I was very curious. I keep listening to the radio. People are talking about the playoffs and how there's going to be 3 starters, 3 aces we can count on, which they mean is Wheeler, Suarez, and Sanchez. My question I keep having is, where is Nola? I don't know where he's holding with the injury, but is he supposed to be back sometime soon?
Yeah, I would say in this second half he's going to get ramped up. And they said basically, and
was he down in Florida?
Yeah, he was starting to gear up a little bit, and he's going to be back for this second half.
It's like we're not thinking about him. What's the plan with him?
Well, that's what they just want to see how he's coming along, see where he is, how healthy, what he looks like. I mean, I'm hoping
he's in the rotation.
Yeah, hoping he comes back and he's in the rotation.
Yeah, everyone keeps counting him out on the playoffs. I mean,
no, I'm an Aaron guy, Michael. I'm a Nola guy. I would think it's Wheeler, some variation of Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, Sanchez, and then you got to figure out Luzardo go into the bullpen. Some variation of that ish.
Right. So that's what I wanted to say. So that guy had a pretty crazy idea of putting the bullpen in the beginning of the game. Everyone keeps talking about, can Luzardo and somebody go to the bullpen? How about that? Is it possible that you can have do like a dual starter game?
A backpack, kind of what they've done in the past with a 5th starter of Taiwan Walker and Bailey Falter, but use better people?
A bullpen plus game.
Yeah, someone like that. Or like can Luzardo start a game for 3-4 innings and have Sanchez come close it down or something?
Well,
like that?
here's why it would hurt you, Michael, and thank you for the call. If you were to do that, then you can't have Luzardo pitch back-to-back games.
Yeah. Where
if you have Luzardo in the bullpen and you need him for game 1 and game 2 and he only pitches 1 inning in the 8th or the 7th, 8th is, if we're going Luzardo in the 8th, then holy hell, we have problems. But I'm just saying, it's that you need to use him multiple times, and you would only be able to use him once if that's the case where he's pitching 4 innings. Man, we are down bad if this is the type of stuff that we're throwing at the wall. And I'm not blaming anybody for thinking very unorthodox things here, but I think it really does describe how flawed the squad is overall, that we are now driving ourselves insane.
Yeah, and that's where the managers has to deal with this. And then you throw into it the wild card of Alvarado. I mean, me? That crazy idea to start the first 3 innings, I'm like, the guy's not going to – I don't even understand the rule, but not going to be available for the postseason. Mm-hmm. You can use him to save, like, Ranger's arm. Like, you can do that. And without any – I guess you're going to hear from his agent on how I'm going to use him, whatever. But I think he kind of owes it to you. He's put you in a horrible spot.
So burn him out.
Burn him out.
Yeah. Listen, they're probably going to have to do some variation of that in August and all that. Of course, they're going to have to see what they can squeeze out of Alvarado, because why waste your ammo in August? This is where it gets tricky. I'd imagine he's performed well, but could it backfire? And he goes, "You think I'm going to put my?"
Well, he can.
What do you think I'm going to do? You think I'm going to actually try out here? Screw you. Go scratch.
No, a guy that's put his team in that spot, whatever you ask.
I would agree, but if you're putting yourself in that position to begin with, then he's probably not thinking straight from the rip.
Yeah.
But you're right. In theory, it's I'll do anything for my teammates since I screwed him over.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at it from I'm Jose Alvarado and you think you're just going to use me as a guy who's going to eat up innings and you can abuse me,
well, what options do you have?
I agree. But these people are wild. They're crazy. All right, let's listen to some audio here. And 215-592-9494. Jim Bowden, some people say Bowden. Mm-hmm. I've done this a billion different times. I'm a Bowdensman. All right, Jim Bowden spoke on the potential bullpen help with Dave Dombrowski. This is what he had to say.
I keep hearing Emmanuel Clase's name, and I think Cleveland's at the point now where they're looking at their lineup. They're 26 in runs scored, 20th in home runs, and they're feeling like, look, we can put Cade Smith closing. Let's move on from Clase. He's got an affordable contract. He's signed. We can do well prospect-wise. So, I think they can move him. And teams like the Phillies and the Mets and the Tigers, they have enough in their farm system to make a deal. I think he more likely goes to Philly or the Mets than the Tigers. I'm not sure they're going to trade him in their own division unless they get overwhelmed.
I'm curious, if they were to get a name in the bullpen, a strong name, and it was one arm, but it was a real good arm, would that make people feel better?
Oh, yeah.
Just if it was one, though, knowing how many problems there is in that pen?
It'd make him feel immensely better if it's an arm, a big one. I still would want the bat, but for most people, I think that would push their feelings for the team way positive, to get that one big name arm to come in. Like you thought the Red Sox might have him, but then they turned their season around.
Yeah, I thought
maybe the Orioles, maybe somebody there, but that big name coming in, I think that would change a lot of feelings. And then you just have to see what it plays out like. I mean, it can turn ugly really quickly with relief pitchers, but I think that's what it would. But the real victory there for Dombrowski, when you have a guy like of that stature, I mean, he's been around baseball for a while, Bowden, to say, now, can roll back a year even, and to say, somebody say the Phillies have enough in their system to get that. That's where you are. But that's why you did it.
Exactly.
So you have won something there. You have done something positive. Now you're in a position to go and get somebody.
Right. Prospects aren't just about the prospects coming to town and becoming something special. There are times where prospects, it's ammo. It's what you do when you put your team in position. The reason why you spend money on Trey Turner, the reason why you paid Nick Castellanos, the reason why you got Bryce Harper in here is to turn the whole franchise around, to put yourself in positions to win the NL East constantly. And then when you're at the deadline, the things that align is you push forward with your ammo of prospects to get you over the edge. That's the blueprint. That's the plan. It's baseball 101. So what you can't do is sit on your hands all of a sudden when you do a lot of the things to put yourself in this great position. So you got to imagine that. I know it's been a little blah over the last few years, but it seems so inevitably obvious that they got to make some splash and more of an impact than they ever have at the deadline, right? You got to imagine it has to happen.
And look at how the stars align just in terms of the Mets and the Braves. You really do. There is an opportunity here that you can really take advantage of. And especially if it turns into a disaster for the Mets, all the better.
The Braves are nowhere close to the Braves of old. The Mets,
no.
I don't even know what the Mets are, but the problem is I don't think it has anything to do with the Mets. I think it's strictly about the Phillies handling their business because they should have enough to beat that lousy team in Queens, especially with the starting pitching. You know what I mean? The starting pitching that we have, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The stupid Mets. I hate the Mets. They're, ugh.
Yeah, Mr. Met had a worse day at the concert than the guy from
Coldplay? I don't think so. I think Coldplay by far. I don't think Mr. Met's going home to Mrs. Met and getting smacked in the face. Not that I condone that. All right, 215-592-9494. We are live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philly. Big parties and events are always better at Chickies and Pete's. Book your next event or party online at chickiesandpete's.com.